So I woke up feeling wonderful. So I wanted to tell you guys again that God is good, God is beautiful, God is wonderful. I can't even imagine what it means to have God on your side. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the fact that you can convince me that the Bible is not true the day we stop behaving like God. I think the Bible is the only book that says man is made in the image and likeness of God. So, isn't it strange that even people who actually spend their lives trying to prove the Bible wrong and trying to prove everything Christianity says is not true, isn't it strange how they follow the Bible as if they're following a dictation? Let me give you an instance. What is the whole point of AI? This is mankind trying to build intelligence that is like our own. Like we want to build machines to behave like us. Does that sound familiar? That sounds to me like God making man in his image, and now we are making machines in our image. And it doesn't even end there. Something else that is super fascinating for me is we're not only trying to make machines that have humankind intelligence, we're also obsessed about making them look like us. Do you know we are free to make the machines take any shape? And yes, there are machines with many different shapes. But do you notice the obsession about trying to make the machine take our shape, have a head, have a shoulder, look like us? Do you notice the obsession? And it doesn't even end there. Okay, now that we have been so successful with AI, have you asked the leaders of this whole AI thing? Have you noticed that the major concern we have is we do not want an AI that does not see the world the way we see the world? In essence, AI that will pose a threat to us. So the AIs we will end up allowing to exist will be the ones that we have been able to train to value life and to see things the way we see it. So every effort is being put into making sure that we don't create an AI that wants to take life, that does not see the world like us and does not value the things we value. That sounds to me like Adam ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then God says, let's keep this guy out, lest he also eats of the tree of life and lives forever. And people thought, did it mean God was against man? Does it mean we're against AI? Because before we let the AI eat of the tree of life, which is before we actually let it exist, we are super interested in making sure that it sees things the way we see things, so that the knowledge it has, the way it perceives life, is aligned with the way we perceive life. Who's copying the Bible? Come on, guys. Didn't you say God did not exist? Think also of the story of Cain and Abel. If you don't believe the Bible, then of course, the story of Cain and Abel have to be a lie, right? Okay, let's check. Okay, or maybe you think it's a fiction. That guy, whoever wrote that fiction must be really smart, because that story sort of models reality so well that guy must be a genius to have come up with that story. Cain and Abel, they both make sacrifices to God. Notice that in the time the Bible is describing, Cain and Abel were the children of Adam. So it's not like there were people all over the world. Let's not get into that aspect, okay? So Cain and Abel, they both make sacrifices to God. It's not like there were people to judge them, or there were people watching them and saying, you're not doing a good sacrifice. Each person on his own just made sacrifice. And guess what? Cain became mad. Wow. And ended up killing Abel. And then the Bible goes on to say that when Cain's countenance dropped and all that, God was like, Cain, why you dey vex now? Did you do better and I rejected you? If you did better, I would have accepted you. Now you did not do better and sin lieth at the door. That's actually where I want to go to. Okay, let me now bring you to reality, like the today world. Think of two siblings, two twins. Their parents died and everything, they're just by themselves. And one starts doing prostitution and the other one starts going to school. Just like the story of Cain and Abel, the one that is misbehaving will be feeling judged by the one that is going to school, even when the one that's going to school has not said anything to her, has not asked anything of her, it's just going to school. And what is she likely going to do? She's probably going to want to hurt her sister just to feel good. Sounds like Cain and Abel to me. But the action is not the thing. Bible says that this thing you did is because sin lieth at the door and its desire is unto you, which means any small misbehavior you're misbehaving, the main oga pata that is making you misbehave that thing is at the door, is just waiting to just bring up its head. And what about the Tower of Babel? Of course, by now you understand that the Bible was not talking about anybody building a house to live, physical house to touch heaven. Of course, you know by now that's not what the Bible was talking about. But let us look around. What was the Tower of Babel story about? The Tower of Babel said once mankind come together and elevate something above God. So like we come up with our own purpose that does not serve the purpose of God. So God says, oh, okay, if they unite, they will do anything. God comes down and people will start speaking different languages. Just understand that these different languages is confusion. What happens? Whenever you elevate anything above the purpose of God, scatter will just show up. Look at America. Freedom is good. But when you start pursuing freedom as an idol, what happens? Society scatters. It is the same freedom that gave America everything America has now that is now almost tearing down the country because, and I don't want to even get into what I mean by tearing down the country. Use your own mind to calculate it. Think of you buy a phone. Normally, the phone is supposed to be for phone call. But at some point, you now start buying all these fancy phones that you're so obsessed about. What ends up happening? Kata kata. You and your wife will fight. You and your children will fight. Somebody touches phone and is not like anything you begin to elevate so much to now define value for yourself rather than the value God has defined with which creation was made. The end result is people will speak different languages. The same people you and them started the mission will end up speaking different language. It does not matter what it is. Anything at all that begins to take up on its own identity that does not serve the purpose of God. Look at marriage. I don't want to get into all that. Like, you buy a car. Just think of you buy a fancy car that you like. You like the car too much and you end up serving the car rather than the car serving you. What will happen? You will fight with your wife one day. You will fight with your son. So like the story of the Bible is, there are so many profound stories. And in my next video, I will talk about prophecy because I think when people continue to argue about spirituality, I wonder if they have never had a prophecy in their life.